Welcome to the Talking Timelines podcast. We are four women with 4 points of view and four accents with one common goal: to share insights and information about what's going on in the world from a higher consciousness perspective. No BS, no PC, just lots of ideas that you won't hear on mainstream media. We chat, we laugh, and most of all, we shed and share light. Join us each week as we talk timelines.
Hi everyone, welcome to Talking Timelines, episode 44. And today's just two of us. Laura and I have been having it started off as a quick chat and it's ended up a long chat. So the show's going to be short today. But there's something we wanted to talk about. Laura mentioned to me before the show was AA. And what was it that brought that into your field that you wanted to talk about it?
That's a good question. I don't know what just the other day it came into my um I don't know my thought about this. I have been thinking about this for a while, and I also live in a small community where a large percent of the population is part of that group for the various. It's not just AA, it's basically any form of addiction. There's a
Okay.
whole slew of them, from codependent and you name it. There's a group for it. And I know people that have been part of it. Now, I will say, full disclosure, that I've never been to any sort of a meeting, whether it's just to go with someone else, whatever. So I can't speak from my experience of being there. But even before I knew people that were, part of the program and attending it, my my feeling about it was that anything that you are, well, continuously, first of all, continuously reinforcing and affirming, it's remaining active in you. So even before I really knew the subconscious work that I do, even way before that, to me, it was like, why would you keep declaring something that you're trying to release or you're trying to get rid of?
So
So
you
just
mean when they say my name is such and such and I'm a
I'm a
alcoholic?
this,
I'm
and
yeah.
you'll always be that. That's part of the philosophy, is that you're always, it's who you are. They even call it a sickness.
Mm,
Call it a sickness, and you will always be that. And I just thought, how could that be beneficial? And then there were people that I've had conversations and they explained to me, well, if you're not, then you're going to think you've overcome it and you can go and you can indulge again.
hmm
And then when you really get down to, okay, so if you're saying that you're this, you can't get over that. Well, what does that do? It's completely disempowering to the person. First of
hmm
all, to believe that you can't shift and overcoming something. But then before that, there's the belief of someone, something outside of you telling you this is the way it is. So that kind of bypasses any of the biology of the belief, any of the stuff we know about our ability to change our reality through changing what we believe it is to be true.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a very interesting. I at one time I knew the story about the person who created it. And I know you know more of information than I do, but I don't remember. And I was wondering, my question to you was, you know, was this created? And you had a very interesting take on this, which you'll share. But I was thinking, well, maybe this is a way of keeping people, another way of keeping people kind of under a controlled environment and also disempowering them. And you had another take, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, as you know, I work with addiction with people, and there's a lot involved in this. So let me just, when you mentioned about it being a disease, for example, so I looked up the disease definition, and it's in my treatment package: a disorder of structure or function in a human, animal, or plant, especially one that has a known cause and a distinctive group of symptoms, signs, or anatomical changes, a particular quality, habit, or disposition regarded as adversely affecting a person or group of people. So to me, I disagree with this. It's a disease straight away. And when you say about people reaffirming, just for people at home, by the way, I apologize if I sound a bit chesty at home, guys. I've had a little bit of a cold. Um, when they say I am in spiritual terms, that is your what people call God title. So when you say, we're taught not to say I am angry, because when you say that, you're pulling anger into your energy field. So when you say I'm an addict, you're pulling addiction into your energy field, which reaffirms those codes, those programs in your system and traps people in it. So I disagree with that completely. I did a little bit of research on where AA came from. And by the way, AA in England also means Automobile Association, not
Oh,
Alcoholics
here it's
Anonymous.
AAA. There's
Yeah,
three A's here
it's
in the
double
US.
A in, yeah. So it was opened in 1935 in Ohio by a guy called Bill W. Couldn't find his
Oh, yeah, that's
surname.
why they say Friends of Bill.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what the slang term for it is.
Which he said it was a malady of mind, body, and emotions. And his recovery was reached, and they created this 12-step spiritual values system, the 12 steps. But most people don't realize is it was actually funded by John D. Rockefeller.
There you go.
So, um, with respect, there's a lot of people out there do not have good word to say about this
Mhm.
family. Why would they be funding something like that? No, I did a little bit more research into it. All of the centers, there are 35,000 AA groups in America alone. I did the research in America, it's the biggest country I could find. There are 1.3 million members in the AA. And those particular groups is all apparently self-funded. And I did do some research to see, if I could find anyone who'd made any donations, but apparently they're not allowed to take donations from anyone who isn't in the group itself. So it's self-funded. Now,
Mhm.
if these groups need funding, obviously they're going to encourage people to come in to pay for the building and the rent and whatever else they need. You have to have somewhere to work to do this stuff and have their meetings.
Many
And then,
times it's like at a public, it's like at a church or somewhere. So I don't think they even have to pay for me. At least here, that's the way it is.
okay,
They're
so
going to
what
pay for the
happens?
meeting.
What happens to the donations then? I didn't research that, so who knows? If they're getting free buildings, I wonder how much money of the donations are actually going to do some good. So and then I looked up how many addicts are there in America, and it's about 28 million. It's just under 28 million aged 12 plus, which surprised me. That's a young age. Suffer from alcohol use disorder, 12-year-olds.
And that's just alcohol.
And that's just alcohol.
It's not
And
all
that,
the other.
no, 16.7 million men and 11.2 million women. So the divide's not that big. I'm surprised how many women are addicts these days. And there are no official records. They don't keep official records, but if you go online and you look up what's the success rate, you'll get told 10 to 50%. And then if you dig a little deeper, you'll get told 5 to 10%.
Whoa.
Right. So it's not a massive success rate. 5 to 10% is the same success rate as people that do it by themselves as well.
But that's so low.
It is very low.
So that means that most people are not successful at overcoming addiction,
Correct.
period.
Then I went and looked a little further, and studies show that 27% of people last a year before they relapse. 24% last 1 to 5 years, 12% 5 to 10 years, and 36% over 10 years. 36% of the people that go. All right. The relapse then is 40 to 60%. And generally, the biggest cause is psychological stress. So, apparently, the two sins of AA, which I'd never heard of before, I didn't go into all the 12 steps and so on and so forth. The first sin is interfering with someone's growth, and the second sin is interfering with your own growth.
Sin, did you say SIN?
Sin, S-I-N. I'm like, well, what's that about?
Yeah.
Surely, if you're offering somebody a 12-step program, you're automatically interfering with their growth because you've given them something to do, which is affecting their growth.
Hmm.
So it was a little bit confusing in that respect. And knowing what I know about, I couldn't, the other thing I looked up then was what does alcohol mean? And years ago, I found information that said it meant
Yeah, cool.
alcohol,
Right. Cool.
flesh-eating spirit, right? And now AI tells me as soon as you go into Google and put anything in, AI comes up with this is not correct. That alcohol actually is an eyeliner, it's a black eyeliner, and it doesn't mean flesh-eating spirit. But from personal experience, I know that every single person I have ever met that has got an addiction has spirit possession of some sort. Some people, when you get into the really nasty stuff like your heroines and your fentanyls, you only need to go, and look at how distorted their bodies get from, these drugs and how they're breaking down. I mean, I'm jumping from drugs alcohol to drugs here,
What,
but addiction's addiction at the end of the day. It's not just drugs and alcohol either. It can be sex, it could be porn, it could be shopping.
anything that you don't have control over.
Exactly. Yeah, it could be
But what do you
sugar.
think came first? Did the lower frequency then allow them to become addicted, or did the addiction now lower their frequency so they're, you know what I'm saying?
I believe that when they go towards a substance or something to fill a gap, there is a psychological or emotional
Neat, right.
need. They're hurting. So that they're trying to numb the pain. And I think that hurt attracts negative energy in. And then they start putting alcohol, liquor is spirit. They call it spirit for a
Right.
reason. And the more of that spirit that you put into your system,
Good,
then
the more you,
energetic spirits can hook in and come in. So you can have people that drink a lot. And there's probably a lot of people listening to this show out there in the big wide world that maybe get home from work and drink half a bottle or a bottle of wine every night. And they don't think they've got a problem. But that is a
mhm,
problem.
mhm.
A glass of wine with dinner, 5 or 6 ounces with dinner, it's not a problem. Women are not supposed to have more than 7 units a week, and I think it's 14 for men, something like that. So I think that there is an emotional, psychological root that attracts disharmony into the system, so they feel down, and then they're going looking outside of themselves for a pick me up. And I think that's how it starts. Or with porn, it's because they're feeling sexually frustrated or alone or curiosity. People get into addiction for various reasons. Sometimes
And
people experiment with something and then boom, too late. It's hooked into you.
yeah, and I think that it perpetuates like the lower. I had a client about a year ago who he had a 30-year addiction to porn. He's only in his late 40s,
Wow.
and it affected his relationship. What happens is then he wasn't attracted to his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And he could not, and he would tell me about it, and it was just and we worked together, and he was finally able to overcome it, and that was the first time I've worked with someone. So of course I was so happy to hear him say back that he thought about it, and then like nope, like it just the thought came in, and then there was really no desire for the behavior. But yeah, and just what if it's screen related, like porn or gaming or gamble, whatever, you're actually getting things from the screen itself that's going to
Yeah.
keep you hooked to that. And alcohol also, and then I mean, there's sex, alcohol, codependency.
Yeah.
That's also you're attracting the partner that's, that's a match for that. So there's constant like this loop that they can't get out of. And um, I just feel that there are so many more effective ways, I believe, to dealing with this than these programs. Again, I'm saying not ever having to go, and there are people that go through it, and the other thing is anything I believe, and this is why, no, I'm probably going to get pushed back from this. I never really believed in psychotherapy either, talk therapy, which you're in
No.
for 10 years. It's the same thing. Anything that you have to keep going back to get that thing, you're not evolving. You're not shifting. It's a crutch. And yes, I know it has helped people, especially if you're going through something and you want someone to speak to it and all that. But the change, it has to be an embodiment. It has to be, there are so many other, I believe, more effective ways in doing things than just, oh, I'm going to a meeting. Because not only that, and I see it in my local town, after the meeting, they all go out together and they're all sitting, they all socialize together and they won't socialize without their group because they don't want to be in that environment. So it just becomes this very insular kind of existence, which is also not the way you want to live.
No, it's not. And I've known people that I've been in it, the clients of mine that have used the cult word and
Hmm.
moved away from it. Um, Obviously, some people are getting some reprieve from it, but I think addiction, as with a lot of mental health stuff, is the problem with the system as it is at the moment. It doesn't recognize human beings as mind, body, and spirit.
Right.
And the spirit part is ignored. And if you talk about it, it's classed as woo-woo or or weird or whatever. And
I
it's
don't know,
this
but they consider it a spiritual practice.
a
Because
spiritual
isn't one
practice.
of the things you'd say is I'm giving my I can only control, what is it? I can only control things in my control, whatever the
Yeah,
the
under my
line is.
control. Yeah, but
One of
what they're doing is connecting people to source, aren't they? Basically. So that's the spiritual practice. It's calling that source energy into your body, which is a cleanser to do
Mhm.
that. But the thing with these entities, and again, this is from my experience, and been clairvoyant most of my life, so I can see these things. And by the way, when I talk about entities, demons, spirits, whatever, when you understand that we are not these solid physical things we appear to be, nothing is that we're all basically waves of frequencies and energies that are encoded to appear a certain way, then these entities can be removed and decoded from the system, but they're not necessarily in the person all the time. So there can be, I've dealt with people where these beings, lost soul spirits that have died that were alcoholics can also attach to people and they can get the buzz. They can pop into people. You'll hear people say when they've been really drunk and done something stupid, I don't know what possessed me to do that last night, you know. And
They literally say that, right?
yeah, they do. Well, there's a clue there. They can pop in and out of people and use people to get a hit by
Mm.
possessing them, literally. We've all seen people that go weird when they've had too much to drink, you know. So this is the kind of thing we're talking about. But unfortunately, when if people have got something in their core that's really dire trauma and fear or anxiety or something they haven't dealt with, these things they create holes in your system and your energy field, and these things can pop in and out. And if it's really bad, that's when they stay. And that's the people you see that have got severe addictions and alcoholism and stuff like that. So there's no judgment here, but it's much more complicated than these systems are set up to be. And I
Mm.
don't think that just a connection to source and asking for that guidance is enough. I think people need to be like you would defrag your computer of a virus. They need to be cleaned out and then bringing in that energy if they want to do it. I don't see source, and I'm sure you don't either, Laura, as this God that's coming to save me. Source is a field of energy. It's a frequency that we can pull in through the sun, through sun gazing. We talk about it on the show all the time. We can use that to cleanse our bodies with, cleanse our energy fields with. So it's a much more complex problem than people think. And it's got worse and worse over the years. If you think about that, 29 million alcohol in America alone. We didn't even talk about gaming, shopping,
Mm-hmm.
porn. So how many people are addicted to something, even if they don't realize it? I once read that 98% of America
Food. Food.
and
There are people
sugar,
that sugar.
98% of Americans addicted to sugar, I read somewhere years ago. They don't
I, I'm
even
I'm like borderline.
They don't
When
even
I did
really.
have to give up shit, when I did completely give up all sugar many years ago, the first 2 days were hell.
Yeah,
Hell. I mean, but I did, it was very severe. It was like no fruit. It was nothing that converts to sugar. And the first 2 days, but I have to tell you something, when you get beyond those 2 days, you feel like $1,000,000.
yeah. Coffee is another one,
Yep.
you know. Um,
Why do you think
people,
there are coffee? All of, ever since we watched that mind control thing about
yeah,
coffee.
yeah. You noticed it.
Very interesting. Well, now I'm noticing everyone on social media, I know going off topic for a second, everyone on social media, whatever they're saying, oh my God, I haven't had my coffee yet. So people are talking about it as if it's a drug.
Yeah,
They can't get through their day. First thing in the morning, oh my God, don't talk to me. I haven't had my coffee. It's fascinating how they talk about it like it is a drug,
yeah.
and it is, but people aren't going to, oh, well, so you're addicted to coffee. So what? So was everybody.
Well, the other thing about coffee, and I have a cup of coffee, not every day, but I like a cup of coffee. I didn't
Yeah,
drink
well,
it for years and years and years, but I'm very fussy about where I get it from. And as I say, I'm very tuned in as well. So I go to a place I know their coffee has not got mold in it and it's organic.
exactly.
Organic. Because if I mention coffee to people, they'll go, "Well, coffee's actually good for you." And there are
Uh,
things in the in the cacao that is good for you. Fair enough. However, they're not mentioning in these articles that they're printing about how good coffee is for you, about the pesticides that are sprayed on the non-organic
right.
coffee and the mold through the storage that gets into your system, builds up in your body, and is, carcinogenic mold. So it's not so much the cacao. I put cacao nibs in my smoothie every morning. It's the mold and the pesticides,
Hmm.
you know. So on Lucky, there's a great shop near me. If I fancy a nice coffee, I'll go there and I know how good the coffee is. If I have a coffee elsewhere that's got mold in it, immediately I feel nauseous as soon as I've drank it. And I have to clean that out of my system. So, I mean, that's just one example. Another really prominent one is pornography as well.
Hmm.
And it's one where it's mostly men. So, some women do get addicted to it as well. And it's something that is done behind closed doors and carries shame. Coffee's like, yeah, let's all meet for coffee and
Right.
it's no big deal. Same with sugar. There's, you know, most people are eating so much
Oh,
sugar.
they'll joke about it. Oh, I have a
Yeah,
sweet tooth.
yeah, no big deal. But when it comes to things like porn, there's a psychological thing inside people where they build up and accumulate a kind of
Mm,
self-hate because of the shame that eats away at them subliminally, that is harming them. They know that it's not nice.
right.
Nobody watches porn and thinks, this is great, this is wonderful, this is feeding my spirit. It's always a bit shady. And it's causing them more harm than they realize. But like you said, they're watching it on screens. The coding that comes out of the screens looks like serpents and snakes. And I mentioned to Laura before the show, I, for one, and I've got friends that are so tuned into our bodies and frequencies that if we're with a man that's got snaky energy, we can feel that snaky energy coming into the bedroom with us. So you can pick up what, they've probably picked it up off the
Well,
internet, even if they're not watching porn. They
but
might,
that's
because
but
it
it,
pops
yeah.
up. Sorry, Laura. It
No, no,
pops
no.
up on their screens.
Yeah.
Stuff pops up on their screens. And then maybe a bit of curiosity, quick look at it, but it's in. It takes 3 seconds for you
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
absorb stuff.
But that's being with anyone that's got a severe addiction, is that their frequency is going to be lowered if you're sleeping in the same bed with somebody. I mean, that's something really interesting. I heard somewhere about, you got to really be careful. That's what they were talking about, sleeping separate bedrooms, because you don't know what they have, what's going on in their field, and you're sleeping when you're the most vulnerable. You can be open to that. Now everyone's going to be paranoid about
Yeah,
their
I did
partners.
see.
But it's just something to kind of think about if you are with someone that is in a really low state or has addictions. just being aware that these affect you and to kind of like counterbalance it.
And it does ruin sex lives and it ruins relationships as well. Then you've got the shopping one as
Mm.
well. You know, I met somebody once who just bought everything she could on, was it used to be QVC when I was young?
Yeah, it's still QVC.
Just buying anything, and like her garage was just chock-a-block of boxes and boxes of everything you could imagine for the house that's
Still with tags on it.
never been opened. And but it's a buzz, it's a comfort thing, it's a feeding a hole, an emotional hole in the
Well,
system.
there's also the adrenaline rush of getting something new.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
buy something, and then once you get it home, it goes away. It goes away. So that's why it just becomes till the next thing.
instant joy, and it passes away. Yeah. So, and there's more and more of it. It's social media
Oh
is,
my God.
it's another massive problem. And if you at home have got, teenagers, I hope you're monitoring what they're watching on their screens, because I'll tell you now, what's coming through these screens at the moment is hooking them into some very dark energies, and it's across the board. So they need to be protected from it. What do you think? So we're sidetracking here, talking about teenagers, about these laws that are banning social media for under 16s.
Are you banning it? Banning for under
But
16?
yeah, they've done it in Australia.
I don't think their kids really need to be on it. I
Mm.
think it's I don't know, laws like it's kind of interesting. I mean it's hard like how can they get on it anyway? Like
Well,
how do you enforce that?
I guess they can use fingerprinting to get onto computers, or is it just another way
Yeah, I
of
know. It
getting
just
our information so that we have to give our eyeball to the computer and our
yeah,
fingerprint to get
totally.
in and prove that we're an adult? Is it just a way of, is it really to protect children, or is it just
Probably
a way
not.
of,
I
yeah.
think really they're that concerned.
Well, from what's gone on over the decades that we've been growing up in, children have been exposed to more and more sex and violence in cartoons, in these vampire TV shows that are pornographic these days. Things like Game of Thrones. Never seen it, but my son watched some of it when he was younger. He said, "Mom, that's disgusting. It's just porn." And that
Well,
was, my own son telling me that. So the whoever's making these things and putting them out early in the evening when kids are watching them, they certainly haven't got the child's best interest at heart, have they? So it does make you wonder. In one way, I think it's a good thing that, they're not on there all the time. Get back out in nature and, go and kick a football around or play rounders or whatever, skipping like we did when we were kids. Um, but in
well,
another way,
also
there may be
you're developing social skills at that age. You need to be with in person. Like
yeah.
they don't need to be on screens. First of all, they're in school with other kids, and then they should be, in activities and playing. There's really no need for it.
Mm.
I don't really, I mean, I'm biased because we grew up without it and we preferred that than what's going on today. But just kind of from an objective perspective, their kids are happier without it.
Well, I think
That's their self-esteem is awful.
I wouldn't be surprised if social media starts to get sued. And by the way, did you know Google's just been sued for
Yeah.
68 million for spying on us? That's the start of the fall of the Tower of Babel, I think. Um, it wouldn't surprise me if if these companies start getting sued for promoting transgender in teens and confusing these kids and with their sexuality and stuff like that as well. My partner said to me, "Well, get these kids out building stuff, get them doing stuff. They're not thinking about am I male or am I female.
Exactly.
Keep them busy, get them off they wouldn't even know about that stuff if they didn't have the internet.
Hmm.
There's an agenda there as well. And no disrespect to any transgenders, we've done a show about it before. So if you want to start an argument, please go elsewhere. Um, So there's a lot of stuff going on at the moment, and big changes are upon us in many different levels. Certain coffee people have been sued for mold in their coffees and, making people sick and stuff like that. Susan, who's not with us today, she's always talking about the redistribution of wealth on the planet. And I think about how is that going to happen? And maybe this is the way it is going to happen. These, like the candy companies that have been poisoning us with sugar that's carcinogenic for decades, need to take responsibility for what they've sold. And,
But that being said, there's also, it's in some ways, it's also getting even the food, what they're doing to the food supply is even worse.
mhm,
So, they're getting rid of seeds now. So everything is seedless. So we can't grow our own food. We won't have food that's organic anymore. So that's happening. The fact that, you know, glyphosate is in everything and everywhere, organic or it's just, it's in the soil. So, in that sense, it almost seems like there's even worse happening. It doesn't seem like it's going in that direction. It seems like it's getting even more challenging.
yeah, it is. It is for some people, but there are powerful people fighting back now, and lawsuits are taking place. So, if that continues the way it is continuing, is it Facebook are being sued as well, aren't they? I think they lost a case as well. So
I
justice
don't
is
know. There's
being done.
another Costco's being sued for heavy metals in their protein powder
Ah,
that
wow.
my sister just told me my niece was giving um her kids and she's freaking out. I
Hmm.
mean, you can clear it.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, did you see there was a woman on Instagram today? I had a quick look before the show, who's had a blood test done and she's not vaccinated, and they found Pfizer, Pfizer and Moderna mRNA in her blood, her
wow.
DNA, and she's completely unvaccinated. So she's not a happy person at all.
Wow.
And it would, we didn't go down that line, but you see, I'm just thinking that there is a change coming on the planet, and we talk about it all the time about the different timelines. There's the toxic, synthetic, AI, totalitarian, more microchipping and credit score system timeline. And there's a beautiful timeline that we're on where the truth is coming out. People are being sued, things are going to get corrected, these products are getting banned, kids are getting kicked off social media so that they can get back out and get some exercise and start actually really playing and talking to their peers and creating lasting friendships, not cyber friendships. And just a happier future for all. The world is changing place, and we need to choose the organic timeline or the synthetic timeline. And it is a choice. Not everyone wants to live in a beautiful world. Some people are quite happy to be microchipped and become
Well, I
transhumanism.
think they want to live in a beautiful world. They just don't think they have a choice in the matter.
Yeah, well, we do have a choice in the matter. So, and consciously make the choice, that and say it out loud so that you're choosing those programs. We program our reality from the moment we wake up to the moment we wake up. We're even programming our reality when we dream at night. So go to
Mm.
bed and tell the universe you want to dream beautiful dreams. Set your intention what you'd like to dream about instead of just letting the mass consciousness slide in there and interfere in your dreams. Set the precedents for your day, how you'd like your day to be. We're programming our reality. We are the architects of our reality, all of us. Okay, well, we only wanted to do a quick show today. So I think we'll end it there unless you've got anything else you'd like to share, Laura.
No, I think this was it.
Yeah.
This is something I thought was a good topic that we needed to touch upon since it is very prevalent.
Hmm. Mm. It is very prevalent. Yeah. Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to mention as well. I seen a guy on social media the other day talking about giving women guardian dogs. Somebody had written a post saying women shouldn't be allowed to have big dogs, maybe because we're not strong enough to control them or whatever. And fair enough, we've got a Chihuahua and an 90-pound Rottweiler, and she is a lot to hold and handle. However, some guy then came on and said, "Well, we want this guardian dogs created so that these big dogs are trained as attack dogs, so that women can have a big dog that will attack and protect them from, men attacking them or whatever." And I wrote underneath it, why not just teach men to stop attacking women and leave the
Right.
dogs alone? Stop turning dogs into dangerous dogs
Right.
and
Exactly.
and teach men to stop attacking women. Okay, so I just wanted to get that into the show today because it does annoy me,
Yeah.
you know, the way people think. Let's just create more violence from like, let's make some attack dogs and give them to women. No, teach men to respect women when they're children. So anyway, that's my final word on the for today. So
Well,
thanks.
it's also passed down. The men teach the men what they were taught. So it needs to be a whole shift.
Yeah. But, I came from a family of really good men who respect women and very strong, balanced in their male and female energy, strong women. But again, there's a lot of violence in the music industry towards women. Um, and these computer games, violence towards women. And there's an agenda, and people need to be aware what their sons are watching and what they're involved in. Just because they're up sitting in their bedroom being a good boy on their computer, they're probably not always doing their homework.
Right.
People need to check their history on their computers. See what your kids are watching, catch it while you can, before it gets
Mhm.
ingrained and imprinted into their consciousness. It takes over their personality. They're being programmed. Okay, so thanks for listening, guys. And we will see you next time on Talking Timelines.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
bye for now.
Disclaimer: the content in this podcast is intended for educational and informational purposes only. The views, opinions, and information shared do not necessarily represent those of the hosts, but is provided for additional perspectives. None of the hosts are medical professionals, so we do not dispense medical advice. Please consult your healthcare professional for any health related issues. And thank you for listening to Talking Timelines.